Hello everyone, my name is Harsh, and in today's video I'll walk you through a few practical Excel questions that are often asked in interviews. That kind of a questions that just don't test your formulas but also your thinking capabilities and your ideas and how good you are in Excel. So whether you are a student, a fresher, or actually someone who's working as a data analyst, this video has something for everyone. It will definitely hone your Excel skills. So let's dive into the first problem. So in this part, the first question is from the math function. It basically says that you have to identify the lowest revenue generating product for Flipkart in the Q1 2024. On your left, I have wrote down the question which they have asked in the interview round. It basically asks that Flipkart, one of the India's leading e-commerce companies, is analyzing its product performance for the first quarter of 2024. The manager wants to identify the product with the lowest revenue in order to devise strategies for improvement or possible discontinuation. The company has compiled the data on various products, including their categories, total units, etc. etc. My task is to use the Excel to determine the least revenue generated in the quarter 2024. So it basically means that in this table, there's a column of revenue. I have to get the answer here, and I have to find what's the least value. It's a very simple question. It basically means that I have to find the minimum value, and Excel basically has one function for it. I have to start the formula. How we start the formula? By writing equals to, and I have to write minimum. Can you see when I write MI, there are list of those formulas which start with MI. I'm particularly interested in MIN. When I go there, Excel actually writes what the explanation of this function. It returns the smallest number in a set of the values. So basically when I'm here, I just click on tab. The tab loads the formula, and then I just load it up. I just select the entire range in which I have to select the minimum value. I just close the bracket and hit the enter. So this is the answer, like 1,50,000 is the minimum value, and you can also see that this is the minimum value. Okay, thank you. So for the next part, we are here with a question in which I have to analyze the ad campaign performance. So this is the table which they have given me, and I have to find the answers for these columns 1, 2, 3, and I have to find out the final answer here. Okay. So the question is, I am a data analyst at InMobi, tasked with conducting an in-depth analysis of the performance of multi-advertising campaigns across different platforms in the Indian market for the month of June 2024. My goal is to calculate several advanced matrices. So what is the first matrix? The first matrix is to calculate the conversion rate. How do we calculate conversion rate? The formula is conversions by click, and we have to multiply it by 100. Okay, perfect. Conversions by click. So the formula would be equals, bracket open, conversions by clicks, and then we have to multiply it by 100. Okay, if it is not that visible from you from here, this side, you can also look at the formula from here. And if this formula bar is not visible for you, you can always go to view and then click on formula bar, like it is clear here. Okay, and then the moment I click here and then I just drag the formula down here, it will give me the answer. As you can clearly see that this answer has so many decimals in it, and we don't want that many decimals because it has been clearly mentioned that I have to round it out of about 2 decimals. So how can we round it out? The Excel is a very simple thing. It has given me a function which has the name of roundabout. Okay, so I can use a function that is known as round. Just that's round. Round basically has two columns in it, in which first is the number. So what's the number? This is the number. Okay, this entire will be the number. So now you can see this entire is the number, and next is the next argument is number of digits. For how many digits you want? We want just only 2 digits. That's it. Then close it, and then just, can you see 6158, and then just drag it down. The answer comes out this one. Simple. Now we have to find what's the cost per click, or CPC in INR. The CPC is basically simple, cost by click. Okay, so simple formula, it's bracket open, cost divided by click, and then just bracket close, and then this value. Again, I don't want it to be have this many decimal values. What I will do, I will use a round function, open a bracket so that this entire comes in the formula bar, and the number of digits I want 2. Close the bracket, hit enter. Drag the formula down so as to apply to the every row. Now there comes the last column which we need to find the matrix, that is the return on investment, ROI. How do we calculate ROI? It's revenue minus cost by cost times 100. Okay, so it is equals bracket open, revenue minus cost bracket close divided by cost bracket close. I need to put it in the bracket. Sometimes it is not necessary, but it's just a general practice for me to put things into a nicer brackets for me to understand, and then I have to multiply it by 100. Okay, and then the answer is 400. I don't know that if I need, just click 400. If there are points here, I would be using round function. Yes, there are points here, so I would be using round function. So round bracket open so that all these things comes into a single number, comma, the next argument comes to the number of digits. How many number of digits do you want? We want 2 digits. Bracket close, press enter, and then just drag it down. The value of, we will get 33.3. Now there comes the last question. The last question says this: we have to identify the top performing campaign based on the ROI. Basically means that, what they mean to say that, so whatever here is the highest value, for example 500 is the highest value here. What does 500 is basically about? It's for campaign B. So basically the highest performing ROI is the campaign B. So we need to write the value, write the formulas in such a way that we will get the campaign B as an answer. How do we get it? We have to break down this question into few parts. It's a difficult question. I want you to pay attention to it. For example, if I want to find what is the maximum value here, because this is the highest paying ROI would be right, I would be writing the function called max. What max does, it basically I have to select the range, close the bracket, and I have to find 500. Can you see 500 is the maximum number here. I need to find what this 5 number is for campaign. For example, okay, so 500 is for campaign B, but how do I have to find it dynamically? I have to find by using a function called index. Index basically means that it has few arguments. The first argument is called array. What is array means? Array basically means that what is the value from where you want your output to be. Basically I want my output from the campaign name. Okay, now there comes the row number. What is the row number? I can use different dynamic functions for that. For example, I'll give you an example. Currently I know that my answer of the highest ROI comes in the second row, correct? So if I can just write row number 2 and then just click on this and just hit enter, the answer would be campaign B. No problem with that. But the problem is that if I had very good very big data in which I would not be able to see it clearly, so I don't want to numerically or manually put the value to here. I need something to find the value automatically or dynamically if the table changes in the future. So what do I want? I again want to find a value which will get a match where the 500 is. So I will use a function that is called match. Match basically works with 3 arguments, that is called a lookup value, lookup array, and match type. So first argument is lookup value. What is the value that I'm looking for? I am looking for a value of 500. Obviously I'm looking for a value of 500. Where I'm looking for this value? I'm looking for this value in this table. Okay, what type of match do I want? I want an exact match. Exact match is for 0 and approximate match is for 1. I close the bracket for match, I close the bracket for index, hit enter. The answer is again campaign B. But I can even define this formula a bit more. How? Basically by saying this thing that I have manually entered a value 500 here. What about that? How I do not know what is the maximum value. So how did we find the maximum value of this ROI table? By using a max function. So we will use a function that is max again inside the match. And in this I will use this range. I will close it and rest of it is always same. For example, this is the lookup value, this is the lookup array, and this is the match type. Everything is perfect. The answer is compared. Now you can clearly see inside this formula bar that everything is dynamic. Okay. So thank you. So for the next part, we have a question in which it basically asks us to find randomly assigning discount codes. So basically the question is, Myntra, a leading fashion tech e-commerce company in India, is planning a flash sale to boost customer engagement and sales. As part of the promotional strategy, the company wants to randomly assign the discount codes to a selection of customers. The discount codes are 10%, 20%, and 15%. Your task is to randomly assign these discount codes. Mark this word, that is randomly assigned, okay? Because we will be using this function. To the listed customers, here is the logic. So they have also given us a hint in how to use the logic by using the random function, and they has given us that what type of discount are we offering. That from if the number is between 0 to 0.33, we will be getting 10% discount, and other case it will be 15, and rest of the case it will be 20%. Okay, perfect. So this is the table which they have given us. This is the customer ID, the customer name, and this is where we are supposed to give the answers. Okay, let's start. To give the answer, I will just first show you what the random function does. For example, if I just type rand here, it basically returns a random number greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1. It basically gives any number that is greater than or equal to 0, or it has a range between 0 to 1. Okay. So if I just select this number, make sure that you have not selected anything in this, because it's just a function. It will generate the random number. Okay. Currently it is generating in percentage, but if I just convert it into general number from here, you can clearly see that this is the random function. And if I drag it down, you can clearly see that these are the random numbers which it has generated. Okay, perfect. But I don't want to do this. I just want that if the number is, for example, take this number. This number is 0.86. Okay. So if this number is 0.86, so obviously it has to get a discount code of 20%. Okay. First things first. How do you know? So now there are three conditions. If there are conditions in the questions, we have to use a function that is called an if function. Okay. Now you guys know what is a rand function. Now I'm going to give you the idea of if function. For example, if I type if function has three arguments in it. One is called the logical test, other is called the value if it is true, other is called the value if it is false. Okay, what is the logical test? The logical test basically says that if I take rand function and if it is greater than or equals to what? 0, then I have to give a value of what? 10%. I have to give a value of 10%. Close. If I just close it like this only, you will see that I will be getting this number. For example, all times I will be getting this number because I have not filled the other possibility, that is a value if false. So for example, this is what the if function does. But there are two conditions to it. One is greater than equal to 0 and other is less than equal to 33.33. So I will use, there are two conditions into it. So I will use if and function, and basically allows you to combine one or two conditions together, two or more conditions together. So I use and functions, and inside the and I will use a rand function. If this rand is greater than or equals to 0, first logical conclusion. Another one is what? Another one would be if this rand is less than or equals to 0.33. Okay, perfect. I will close this loop for the end, and here you can see that I have basically wrote down the logical test in the if conditions. Now it's time for the value of true. If the value is true, I will get what? I will get 10%. I will get 10%. Now we have to move forward. What if the value is false? For the false, we will use another function that is called if function. We have to make it in a loop. So again, we will writing the if function. What is the logical test again? Logical test will be the same. That means I will write and inside it I will add rand. If this rand is again greater than or equal to what? 0.34. Next one, if this rand is less than or equals to what? 0.66, then I will close it for the AND loop, and if the value is true, what will I get? I will get 15% discount. What if we don't get any number in between this? What if everything fails? If everything fails, then we are getting a number that is above 66.66, in the range of 0.66 to 1. Then what we will get? We will get 20% discount. So I will directly write it here as 20%. I will close the loop for this if, the outer if, and now I will close the loop for inner if. If I click OK, you will get the answer, that is 20%. If I drag it down all the way to the bottom, you will get, we are getting these numbers. Now remember, if we need to do some kind of mathematics operations on this, do not forget to change it to a value function, which will change into a numerical value. Convert it, basically what it does, it basically converts a text string into a number. So basically this is the entire string which I'm converting to a number. I'm converting it to a number. So this is what I have converted. But if you don't want it to be in a general format, you can also convert it to a percentage, I believe. Just click on percentage and then just drag it down. If you don't want the zeros after decimals, what will you do? Just click on this and click on this and you will get the answers. So basically this is the answer. Thank you. So for the next part, the question is about tracking in-app purchases for Maza Games. So the question here is, Maza Games, a top mobile gaming company in India, offers in-app purchases for the virtual items in their games. To prepare for the next board meeting, they need to calculate how much the user need to spend on the in-app purchases. Basically means that in this table, there is transaction ID, there's a user ID, and there's an amount spent in rupees. And we need to convert this amount in rupees, that is in a decimal fractions value. I need to convert into a whole number value. That is what they have asked us to do in the transaction ID. In Excel, there is a very simple function to use, that we can use a round function, as we have already discussed about. If I select the round function and take this number, basically it is going to give me a round value, but the question has significantly described me that I have to round it down. Basically it means that when it comes to the value of 198.5, I do not have to put it into the 199 bracket. I need to put it down into 198 bracket. And for that, Excel has given us a function that is known as round down. As the name suggests, it basically rounds a number down to the number of 0. For example, if I load this function, it has two arguments, one in which we have to select the number. I select the number, comma, and number of digits which you want. I don't want any digits after the decimal. So I select 0, close the bracket, press enter. 198.5 has been converted into 198. I drag the formula down. You can see 129.99. If I use a simple round function, it would have been converted into 130, but now it has been converted into 129 and 149 and 99. It's simple. Again, I'm saying that if we have to use any mathematical function into this, we have to use another function that is called a value function. Take a value function, convert it, close the bracket and enter, and that's it, and apply it to the whole value. We have done. The question is solved. Thank you. Now for the next part, the question is branch allocation based on the account age. So the whole question is, HDFC Bank, a leading financial institution in India, wants to organize a customer accounts by assigning new accounts to specific branches. My task is to create a system to decide which branch an account should go to based on the account number, okay, and how old it is. So to find this thing, I have to follow these conditions. First is find the modulus. Basically, what is the modulus? Basically finding the remainder, and then after finding the modulus, we need to add 1 to the result. Okay, perfect. So this is the table, the sample table, in which there is an account number, it's a random account number, and there is an account age. Okay, so according to the question, I need to use the modulus function. So I will start the formula by writing equals to, and then there is a function called mod, mod. When I load it, it has two arguments. One is a number, other is a divisor. That means what is a number? This is the number 8. What am I dividing it for? With, I'm dividing it with 3. Perfect. I will close it, and then they have said that to the result I have to add 1. I had to add plus 1. This is the answer. And if I drag it down, it will be this. And even if you want to do the maths by your own, you can also do it. For example, that 22 divided by 3, 3 sevens are 21. That means the remainder will be 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. The answer is correct. Similarly goes for 8. 3, 2 plus 6. So remainder would be 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. The answer is correct. So we are getting the correct answer. Thank you.